Hello, everybody. It is Eddie Speed, founder of Note School, and yep, I'm here at the office, but um, staying distanced. I have been on 2 to 5 interviews a day for days. So apparently, a lot of people think that creative financing is has a lot of runway in this new market situation. So I was interviewed the other day in a podcast. Guys really did a great job, and he asked me to quantify 7 principles that I live by, and not just 7 principles at the moment, but 7 principles that I live by. Now, I'm not necessarily a guy that always needs to write down my goals or my thoughts. That's not necessarily how I'm wired, but this was good for me. And I thought I'd share them with you. It made me think. It made me look back and realize kind of what my principles are every day. And so I appreciate him for prompting me into something that was in my head, but I don't know that I had it on paper. Thought I'd share this with you. I'm going to read them. So 7 principles that I live by. Number 1, related to real estate or even to notes. Don't always first look at price. I teach real estate investors to buy property. I teach them to buy sometimes with real money and sometimes with monopoly money. You see, I can make a bargain out of a real estate deal based on how I structure it, right? Don't always look at price. In fact, if you always look at price when you're negotiating and there's a possibility to have terms, I'd say that you always need to look at the plan B possibility as well. Right now, today, market situation, all of a sudden sellers are willing to consider terms, monopoly money they never would have considered before. Think about that. Number 2, charge the hill when others are scared. Business giant Warren Buffett has a saying. He says, be scared when others are greedy and be greedy when others are scared. Now, let me warn you, I'm not wanting to teach you to be greedy, but I think we get the spirit of what Warren Buffett said. And when I say charge the hill, wisely charge the hill with facts and being armored with a plan. Don't run up the hill with a knife with 6 guys in front of you with a gun. You're charging, right? Have a plan, make sure it's appropriate, but charge the hill when others are scared. I'm telling you, transfer of wealth right now is going to happen because people are not making good decisions. They're too affected, their brain's too messed up. Sorry that it is, but it produces an opportunity. Number 3, always be reasonable. I have a 40-year track record in this business, and I hope my deepest business relationships would all say, Eddie's reasonable. If you're not reasonable, you're not creating an environment where people want to come back and play again. I like to say it's your sandbox, but you have to be inviting enough that other people want to come play in your sandbox. Always be reasonable. Next is look at history. You know, I've been doing this for a long time. I started in 1980. So in 1980, I was 20 years old. I was out calling on realtors and home builders and mortgage people and bankers every day, people that had decades of experience when I had just started. They were scared to death because interest rates were 20%. I was thinking this is the biggest bonanza I've ever seen. You see, I walked in with a different mindset and a different perspective and a different strategy. And I saw green grass and they saw black skies. Look at history, learn from it, and figure out where the opportunity is. Right now, there's some terrific opportunities, terrific, if you're looking in the right spot and pursuing the same thing. Next is persistence. Persistence wins. Can't say enough about it. I'm not a brilliant guy, but I have been a tenacious soul. And I have seen a lot of people that were smarter than me, that when times got tough, they gave up, and this old cowboy kept trying. Every entrepreneur endeavor has rocks in the road. If you're not mentally prepared for the rocks in the road, your brilliance in doing the business is not going to do you any good. You got to mentally be prepared to overcome the objections that you haven't seen yet. And right now, we've clearly seen a lot of objections. Be persistent. Don't let somebody else tell you what to think, by the way, right? Sometimes people love us and they're trying to tell. I'm really careful right now who I allow myself to be around. There's some people that I love, I just don't want to hear it, because all they see is fear and scared and what do we do? And I'm like, man, listen, I'm on my horse riding up the hill. This general's riding up the hill. We're going up. Yes, there's objections. We're not saying there's not objections, but we're just saying you can't think with your clearest mind when you're affected by a bunch of thoughts that drag you in the wrong direction. Noise. The next thing ties to that, and that is to beware of bad fake news. You know, I don't know that I would have written that as one of the things that I live by before this pandemic, before this black swan, but maybe that is the truth. Always know with clarity what the real market situation is. To be aware of where the market is so you can find the niche. Entrepreneurs solve problems other people can't solve. Always be aware of what's going on. And if it's fake news and if everybody's running one way, then you ought to stop and look and go, wait, maybe that isn't the way I should run. So yeah, maybe that's something I've added. But it's a dang good thing to pay attention to. Be aware of fake news. And last is community. I place an excessive business value on community. I invest more than 1 month out of every year, literally, in being in an environment of networking, masterminds, special meetings, all constantly. And right now, in the situation that we have been in, I have had real knowledgeable, squared away friends that would guide me through things and give me perspective of things so that to help formulate what my strategies were and how I did it and how I went about it. If you don't have the right community, you're feeling it right now. You've heard the old saying, your net work is your net worth. Sound corny? I don't know if it sounds corny or not. I'm just telling you it's true. And for the last few weeks for me, this old cowboy's lived it, and I'm glad that I had community. I hope these 7 principles helped you. I'm glad I wrote them down. I'm glad a guy interviewed me, a nice man that was smart, that said, "Hey, Eddie, I like quantify what are your cornerstones," and it really helped me. So I thought I'd share them with you, and maybe it'll help you. See you later.